Picture yourself in 1990s Hong Kong, a city rapidly transforming into manufacturing powerhouse. The streets are brimming with vibrant neon signs, colorful displays, and convenience store shelves packed with disposable items. The market items started having shorter shelf lives, and with Hong Kong's complex political history and growing anxiety about sense of belonging, people of Hong Kong begin to feel the same way, disposable. Wonker Wai's 1997 film, Chungking Express, captures the enigmatic passage of time and growing sense of disposability in identity of Hong Kong citizens. In his essay, Times and Its Displacement in Chungking Express, Janice Tong refers to Hong Kong as a city experiencing state of its own disappearance. The handover of Hong Kong from British colonial rule to China, coupled with its shift from entrepot to manufacturing hub, fostered a sense of uncertainty among its citizens. Therefore, Chungking Express was produced during a time when there was a rapid sense of time passing in Hong Kong. This passage of time is expressed well in film, especially through the way Wong Kar-wai visually represents Hong Kong and its people. The use of slip framing, combined with handheld camera work and fast-paced editing, creates a disorienting experience by providing a limited view of characters. The opening shot of film is sky, and when we are eventually shown Hong Kong, it is visually incoherent, making its location and its architecture almost indistinguishable. Scholars such as Eva Mazariska and Laura Raskarill have referred to Hong Kong as throwaway society, where its citizens depend on consumption of fast food, renting small apartments with basic furnishings and mass-produced furniture. Generally speaking, this wasn't by necessity, but by choice. A lifestyle of disposability where past memory are of little concern. Because unlike China or British colonies, Hong Kong doesn't have same type of definitive history. The film portrays Hong Kong as a city without fundamental center, a fractured mobile state where images, time, space, stories, and characters fold and weave into one another with no real certainty, always on the brink of vanishing from our gaze. It struck a chord. Much like the characters in Wonka Wai's Chungking Express, people in the age of digital media face the same sense of vanishing self. In rapid age of digitalization, where we are constantly bombarded with the idea of what we like, what we might like, who we are, how to dress, much of a person's identity is intertwined with the virtual reality, which can be easily manipulated. Hence, people experience the same sense of uncertainty. In an ever changing and fast evolving world, where sheer volume of content is overstimulating and omnipresent, identity becomes increasingly fragile and disposable. Not only is your sense of self uncertain, but it is also under constant scrutiny. Add to this insecurity that a digital presence can bring, where you can be added or removed with just a click. The sense of instability intensifies. In his essay, Capitalism and Schizophrenia, BuzzFeed founder Jonna Peretti writes the increasingly rapid rate at which images are distributed and consumed in capitalism necessitates a corresponding increase in the rate that individuals assumes and shed identities. The acceleration of visual culture promotes hyperconsumption associated with late capitalism. Put differently, capitalism needs schizophrenia, but it also needs egos. The contradiction is resolved through acceleration of late capitalist visual culture. This type of acceleration encourages weak egos that are certainly formed and fade away just as easily. This identity must be quickly forsaken as style change and contradictory media images barrage the individual's psyche. With easy availability of different types of identities, such as spiritual asceticism, minimalism, techie persona, people often exist within niche brackets on internet, almost as if they are available in market as disposable products. Dating apps often categorize people according to their likes, interests, and needs, making the search for super niche identity akin to browsing through a vast pool of options. For each type of identity, there are thousands of potential matches. The internet becomes a metaphorical convenience store stocked with canned identities, turning people into commodities. We live in what Jean Baudrillard referred to as a hyperreal world, where not only are actions replicas of what we consume, but our replicated identities also become basis for further media production, which further reinforces this replicated identity, which further become the basis for further media production. As a result, everything becomes a copy of a copy of a copy, even people and their actions, blurring the line between reality and its representation. In a hyper-real world, the performance of love and the experience of love are often conflated, leading to the assumption that love is merely another commodity presented as a perfect packaged item. Easy availability of social media platforms and formation of parasocial relationships blurs the line between what love is and how it is enacted. The performance of love takes place between two commodified identities, interchangeable with others who share same traits. Consequently, there is little space to truly love someone beyond their superficial identity, making it difficult to find a sense of belonging beyond the staged commodified version of love. Similar to feeling of uncertainty about sense of self, a pervasive feeling of love sickness can be felt among an entire generation. It all does sounds a little dystopian, suggesting that in a world where identities and love are commodified, finding a genuine sense of belonging, grounding, or even true loves becomes increasingly difficult. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that these things are impossible to find. It highlights the challenges we face in a hyper consumer society, where deeper connections can be harder to achieve amidst superficial performances and commodified identities. The underlying message might be that while the search for authenticity is more complex, it is ever more possible and all the more important. In essay titled Desire Through Synthetic Media by Dylan Schenker of Temple University, he says, younger generations coming of age through social media learn how to present themselves through it in novel ways, unique to each platform. While these strategies are often harmful to people's mental health, other times it gives them ability to experiment with new forms of identity, more in line with a sense of self that cannot yet be expressed outside a virtual space. Technology enabled mediation potentially expands these experimental possibilities of identity exploration, since it is no longer inhibited by limitations, physical embodiment, or social stigma. In turn, this contributes to an evolution of desire in accordance with freedom afforded by ephemeral nature of virtual spaces. Identity and desires, hitherto not possible in a physical space, can be pursued and materially experienced regardless of their virtual nature. Internet can thus serve as a space for experimentation and expression if used critically, rather than simply assuming selfhood through pre-packaged content. It offers opportunities for education on virtually any topic and allows for learning from multiple perspectives and viewpoints. It becomes ever more crucial not to become a slave to algorithm, which often saturate you with the same type of content you consume, thereby limiting your worldview to that content. It is more important to engage with diverse media and have a range of experience to broaden your perspective. In words of Sartre, a man's rule of conduct and his scale of values have no meaning except through quantity and variety of experience he has been in position to accumulate. Characters in Chunking Express belong to the disposable and transient world. They expressed a sense of vagueness around belonging and simultaneous amalgamation of surrounding. Janice Tong expressed this concern when he writes. Rather than capturing spaces, geography, architecture, or location, Wong is trying to capture time. The movie masterfully evokes a feeling of nostalgia and lovesickness, making it one of those rare films that succeed in capturing those vivid emotions. The purpose of this video is not to draw any definitive conclusions, but to explore and understand the complexity of time we are living in. A good discussion is one that opens up new avenues of thought, guiding us towards a better understanding rather than arriving at a single fixed conclusion. When discussing the existence of people within niche brackets, one thing that comes to mind is that people often creates new spaces within existing ones. They carve out unique identities and subcultures, adding layers to the existing landscape. So even as time flows and chaos reigns, with a culture where people often feel an insecure sense of selfhood, there are still spaces carved out with novelty and critical thought. In such times, it becomes ever more crucial to hold on to people that makes you feel a sense of belonging, to create new spaces, and to sometimes retain a sense of present, past, and future.